I was always a story and content person and a people person, very interested in the dynamics of a story. I tend not to be a black and white storyteller. I'm interested in the complexity of things, and in my view, life unfolds in shades of gray rather than black and white. Is it easy? Are there challenges? Always. There are always obstacles, there are always challenges, and you learn how to deal with them. Storytelling is a part of life. People love and need stories. We all have stories to tell. I was born in Montreal in 1949. At the time, my family was living in the Côte-Neige area on Carleton Avenue. About 10 years old, we moved to Ville Saint-Laurent. It was a great place to grow up because there were parks and there was sports and there were friends. Traditional family. I was an only child, so I had a lot of attention from my parents, which I guess is a mixed blessing, but there was a lot of love in the household. My parents were not religious, but I came from a very Jewish home. But we were secular by and large. But we were very traditional. We had Friday night dinners, we celebrated holidays. You know, I felt very Jewish and still do. Was there something that influenced me in my career choice? Maybe. I mean, Jews are very inquisitive people. Jews ask questions. So ultimately that became my profession, asking questions and exploring ideas. As I got older, I had a lot of friends. I was very social and by and large was a kind of smiling kind of person and a fairly happy person growing up, very happy person growing up. I was very into sports. I was kind of a jock and always in the park. Enjoyed school, was not always the most disciplined student, but loved being exposed to education and ideas. I went to Concordia, Loyola at the time. I was in the arts faculty and studied liberal arts and humanities. Ostensibly, I was studying economics and political science, but it was really a broadly based liberal arts, humanities education, which I think stood me in good stead. What was probably the formative experience in my university education was being involved in campus life. There was a lot of political activity at the time. I was a student activist. This was the late 60s and early 70s, where young people like myself were interested in changing the world, and there were issues to that effect that played out on campus, and I was right in the thick of it, something of a student leader. I represented students on the university senate. I had always been interested in current affairs and public affairs, followed it closely throughout from a fairly young age. Newspapers, magazines, television, was always very interested in the world around us. And that was an opportunity to engage in you know, university life, campus politics. I identified very much with sort of the spirit of the times. There was an anti-Vietnam aspect to things. There were cultural changes going on, and I felt right in the thick of it. And I think I kind of found myself, but I went through my years of school, elementary school, high school, and even university undergraduate studies, not really knowing what I wanted to be. That came to me a bit later in life. I graduated in 1971 and was lucky enough to hear about a France-Canada cultural exchange into which I was accepted, and I went off to Paris for a year, and I taught English in a lycée. You know, here I was in my early 20s, had never been outside of North America, and went to Paris, and it was a fantastic experience in all kinds of ways. The year came to an end, and I did have that sort of moment that you're asking about, where I said, well, this has been great. I'm in my early 20s. I have to give a little bit of thought to what I want to do professionally and how I'm going to earn a living. I realized that I had an interest in television and film and public affairs, and maybe I could do some professional studies in that area, and maybe that would lead to something. So I made a decision at the end of the year in Paris that I would go to London, because I